Yo, what is going on, you slackers? I am your host, Slackerz Gaming, bringing you another episode of Rate Their Chances. If you haven't seen the series, I do it every Sunday, 2 videos every Sunday, where I will be going over one specific character per video, and I will be giving my thoughts and opinions. I will be going over pros, I'll be going over cons for each character in that video, and kind of give my thoughts on their percentage and their chance to become a playable character in the next Super Smash Bros. Game for the Nintendo Switch. And boy, we cannot wait. Everyone's excited. The community's hyped, so let's not waste any more time and get into today's video. Now, of course, we're going to start with the pros like we always do. So first things first, Banjo Kazooie, third party. And if you know, over the past couple Smash Bros. Games, they've been getting more and more third-party characters added to the roster. And with this game coming up for the Switch, they're going to be looking to make a big impact yet again with the Smash community, with player bases, with, just gaming in general. So what better way for, Nintendo to introduce a third-party character that people actually know than with Banjo Kazooie, who started on Nintendo, was owned by Rare, and then it was sold, and THQ owned them, I believe, for a couple years, and then Microsoft bought Rare, and all that mess. So yeah, third party is definitely a big factor, and I think it's one of the bigger sticking points for a positivity for Banjo Kazooie going forward, for potentially being playable in Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo Switch. Next up, we do have Microsoft has already given their blessing. Phil Spencer has said multiple times back for the Smash Bros. On the Wii U and 3DS, said he would love to see Banjo Kazooie in the game, win the ballot, and that whole thing. So plus Microsoft has worked with Nintendo on rare IPs in the past, so that is also another big positive. They've worked with each other in the past and they've had no issues. That's just another big awesome point, positivity thing for Banjo and Kazooie. I never actually played Banjo and Kazooie myself, but I cannot argue, and I don't think anyone else can. When you think of third-party characters, especially stuff like, for me, I grew up on the Nintendo 64. Nintendo, I guess, started with the Super Nintendo, but when you grew up on Nintendo, you definitely recognize this duo right here. So it definitely helps with Microsoft getting their blessing. I don't know what the point of me telling you guys I grew up on Nintendo, but I threw that in the video anyway. But another positive a pro for him is he's very recognizable. You say the name Banjo Kazooie, most gamers are probably gonna know who it is. Maybe not the newer gamers today, because, well, we'll get to a con that kind of relates to this a little later. But, gamers are going to recognize the name and the image of Banjo Kazooie, so recognizability is definitely a big pro. And the last one, he was actually pretty high up on the ballot in terms of votes. Lots of people turned up to vote for Banjo Kazooie. A lot of people want to see him, myself included. I wouldn't have voted for him on the ballot because there's other characters I'd rather see, but Banjo Kazooie definitely had a ton of votes and a lot of support behind him, so that's only good for him going forward, so that's pretty cool. Now, of course, we got to move on to the cons. Unfortunately, yes, every character is going to have cons. So the first con that I have for this one is Banjo Kazooie has not had a new game since 2008, and that was Nuts and Bolts. And if anybody knows, Nuts and Bolts was not really received well by the community. That just wasn't. It didn't feel like a Banjo game, I don't know if it was just done wrong, or it didn't have the feel and the vibe of Banjo Kazooie. So, with that being kind of a negative in itself, the game not feeling right, and then they haven't done anything. Microsoft, that is, haven't done anything with Banjo and Kazooie since 2008. Sure, there might have been re-releases on old games and stuff like that, but in terms of, relevancy, which is the next con, a lot of people think Banjo Kazooie could be irrelevant simply because he hasn't had a game in 10 plus years, and I kind of can understand that part, when, especially for third party, because you can't be like, yeah, we're gonna have a third party retro rep. That it doesn't really work that way. Third party has to be big And Banjo and Kazooie are big, but again, when you haven't had a game in 10 years, that never can help your chances to get into the next Smash Bros. Game. So irrelevancy could play a factor into this, and I can understand that argument that people make about him. So with that being said, it's time to give my final opinion for this character in Banjo Kazooie. I've been thinking about this a lot, and Banjo's been growing on me over the past couple years in terms of me, thinking about him becoming playable in Smash Bros. And I believe just with, all the pros and Microsoft already saying that they would love Phil Spencer especially saying that, hey, he's already given his blessing. He would love to see Banjo and Smash, and they would love to work with Nintendo to get this character into the game. And, of course, the fan base would love it, too. I think that plays heavily into my final decisions. I'd probably give Banjo and Kazooie, I might give them about a 65%. I think there's a very high percentage chance that this character does actually make it into the game. Sure, it might be from Microsoft, and Nintendo could look at that as, nah, we don't want to really focus on just an IP that's owned by one of the other two big major first party kind of game companies, Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft. So they could look at that and say, no, we don't want to promote another systems character. But then again, I believe all the pros that I've laid out, all the cons, and everything that I've said, that's kind of how I came up with 65%. And I do believe Banjo is definitely one of the more possible third-party characters that could get added. And again, there might not be any third-party characters that get added into the game at all. So we'll end up seeing eventually. E3's coming up shortly. Maybe we see something then. Who knows? But or maybe even before then if we're lucky. Yeah, we'll find out, though. But anyway, that's it for this one. Thank you for stopping by and checking it out. Love to know your opinions and thoughts down in the comments. Give me your own opinions. Is there any big facts that I might have missed? Or is there anything you might not agree with? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments. Because like I said, in all my videos, I read all the comments and I try to reply to all of them. If I can, at least, So, yeah, with that being said, this video is over. Hopefully you enjoyed, and hopefully we catch you guys on the next one. Peace out, everybody.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face. Tell me that you love me, even if it's fake.